Y'all won't believe this, but I have to do this video again. This is the second time I did it. The first time I did it was already 10 minutes in, and then my phone said, hey, you don't have enough data, we're going to cut off your video. And so now I'm like, I guess I have to do this whole video over again. So, my review of Mad Max Fury Road. Now, as you can tell, I'm kind of annoyed about it, but whatever, I get to talk about the movie more. You know, I was already going to talk about it enough. Mad Max Fury Road. Sequel to Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. One thing I could say is that I was never a Mad Max fanboy. I do have all three of them, though. I have this cool little tin. I didn't get it just to see them before this movie. I knew I got this before I even knew this movie was coming out. So, even though I do feel kind of sad because if I would have saw these in my teenage years, I would be a Mad Max fanboy right now. I would be head over heels about this movie. But that's not saying I'm not. I absolutely loved this movie. That Mad Max Fury Road. I keep wanting to call it Road Fury because I'm an idiot. I absolutely adored this movie. It makes me sad that I wasn't into it these series before because I loved Predator, I loved Aliens, I loved Terminator, I loved Lethal Weapon. I think I saw Lethal Weapon when I was younger because I know I didn't see Die Hard until I was older. What else was I into? I was just into 80s action, 80s and early 90s action. I loved those types of movies. So if I would have rented that one day, I was looking at it and I wanted to ask my dad to rent it because I didn't know that was Mel Gibson. I knew it was Mel Gibson. It said it, but he looked really much younger at the time, obviously. And I wanted to ask my dad to rent it, but we rented something else. I forget what, though, because we were in there, I'm pretty sure, looking for King Kong vs. Godzilla. And we couldn't find it, and then I saw the Mad Max art, and then we rented something else. I forget what it was, though. We might not have rented anything, actually. Anyways, Mad Max Fury Road. What did I think about it? I think I already said it, but I'm going to say it again anyway. It was phenomenal. Oh my goodness. People, a movie comes along once in a lifetime where it is just, the standard of it is so high. It is the pinnacle of something, and this movie is the pinnacle of car action. Furious 7 came out this year, and I loved it to death, but this one did the whole car action thing better. I know it's two different types of car action, but this one right here did it beautifully. Now, let me talk about the plot. It's an escort mission. That's the movie. Max gets taken by... He's played by Tom Hardy now, not Mel Gibson, obviously. He gets taken by this group of psychotic people, like white-skinned, mutant-looking people, who are controlled by this one really big guy with a mask that looks like a combination of the Joker and... what's the guy's name? The guy from Twisted Metal. This is the villain of Twisted Metal, the con guy for Twisted Metal, that's what it looks like. Combination of those two, and it sucks because the first time I was doing this review I actually knew his name, but now I can't remember it. It looks like him, and Charlize Theron is supposed to take this truck called the War Machine to this area, get more fuel, bring it back. But she doesn't do that. What she does is she takes it, and inside of it she has basically sex slaves made for just reproducing sons for this man and warriors. And she's trying to bring them to what's known as the Green Land, and then Max gets caught up in it. And that's basically the recurring theme of Mad Max movies. He always gets stuck in something he wants no part of. He's just trying to survive in this apocalyptic world. Now, how the Mad Max series works. The first one wasn't an apocalyptic movie. It was a dystopian future that spawned from an energy crisis. The second one took place after a nuclear fallout. And the third one took place in the sporting arena known as Thunderdome. And one thing I'm really happy about this movie is that George Miller finally got beyond Thunderdome. And yes, I know, I'm thanking everyone out there. Everyone, you can all calm down now. I got to use the joke. I know not a lot of people have been able to, but I was able to, and my way of doing it was right. And I, too, got to go beyond Thunderdome. That's right, I used the joke twice, both in context, both made sense. You'll never be able to do it. I'm sorry. You can try and as hard as you want, but let's just get over it. No one else will be able to use the joke. I'm the MST3K king, and I'm officially the king of YouTube. That's the end of it. We're moving on. Now, This movie is 100% phenomenal. It has great action, great characters, great acting, which I'm going to get onto right now. Everyone in this movie was in peak performance. It was an action movie and it was over the top, but it was wonderful. Now onto what was great. Other things that are great about it. Great environment. It was it was a desert, but it looked phenomenal, and it was just nice to look at, and great effects. Onto the effects. Now, as many people know, a lot of these effects were practical, or maybe you don't know, but these effects were practical, and it was awesome. It shows that practical beats out CG any day of the week. Not people understand that. When it's there, it's there. It looks like it's there, so it looks great. It doesn't always work. Sometimes practical effects look bad, but here it just looks wonderful. And I loved the characters in this movie. Back to them, they stumbled across these group of women, and I loved the old lady. She was awesome. She was badass. She was a great character. Everyone in this movie worked. I hope they make more of these, because I would love to see this continuation of the series, but not rushed out, because they rushed out. It's not going to be as good. I think one of the reasons why a lot of people like this movie a lot is because it's been years since the last one, and now they finally released a new one. And it's not a reboot or a remake, it is a direct sequel to Beyond Thunderdome. And that's one thing I have to give credit for. They didn't reboot it, they didn't remake it, they just made a sequel. That's how it should be. Continue the story. You don't have to remake everything, just make a better follow-up. And obviously this is way better than Beyond Thunderdome. The Amazing Spider-Man movies just goes to show that rebooting doesn't always work. I didn't hate the first Amazing Spider-Man. I never saw the second one because I just heard nothing but bad things about it. But the first two, Spider-Man 1 and 2, were phenomenal. The third one was mediocre. Amazing Spider-Man was a bit better than mediocre. It was just, I guess they could have just called it above average Spider-Man. Amazing Spider-Man 2 was just, I never saw it. Like I said, it was a disaster. And now they're rebooting it again. And you see what happens when you just reboot things for no real reason aside from just trying to make money. It just sometimes falls flat. Here, they didn't reboot it to make money. They made a sequel. Obviously, they wanted to make money, but they made a sequel. They didn't need to reboot it because they knew the fans were there and they wanted to see another story of the Max character. Even though it's not Mel Gibson, it's still the same Max. It's Tom Hardy, and he did a great job. I can't recommend this movie enough. It's like watching a ballet on screen of just cars and explosions, and everything just works perfectly. A lot of people said it's just an extended action scene, but it's really not. There are story bits in there. But every action scene in it, it's like watching a ballet of just madness, and it is phenomenal. I rate this movie a very high 5 out of 5 stars. This is a beautifully crafted action film, and a lot of action directors need to take note. It's not my favorite film of the year. That's still Kingsman. I liked it more than The Avengers, though. So far, my 3 favorite films are, this is from 1 to 3, Kingsman, Mad Max Fury Road, Avengers Age of Ultron. Go out, see this movie. It is something that needs to be seen to be believed. Anyways, take care. God bless.